Am I crazy for wanting to throw away a life of love and financial stability to start over and live on my own? Hi. I believe that I'm going through somewhat of a quarter-life crisis. I want to divorce my husband of less than a year who has allowed me to live rent-free, job-free for the past 5 years we've been together. We had agreed at the start of our relationship that we had goals in common: marriage, kids. He is the breadwinner and I am the homemaker. So I quit my job and did all the cooking and cleaning. The problem is that I no longer want to have children and have found myself fantasizing about being able to live life for myself, putting my own wants and needs first. I brought it up to him with the intention of divorcing, but he surprised me with his willingness to change. As for the topic of children, he says that he has gone from being absolutely sure to only somewhat sure that he wants kids. He just knows that a divorce isn't what he wants. I wish that I could go back in time to postpone the marriage or break up altogether to save us both from this horribly heartbreaking and embarrassing situation. Now, onto the details of our relationship. He is a great partner and would make a fantastic father. He has shown this through his actions around kids and around the house. Despite our arrangement being that I'm fully in charge of keeping the house clean, he's actually taken on a fair share of the housework himself because his standards for cleanliness are higher than mine, and he wants to help me shoulder the burden of maintaining our home. He is wonderful around kids, and kids love him back. He also has experience helping raise younger siblings and cousins and isn't afraid to get dirty. He always holds the both of us to high standards and pushes the two of us to be the best, most healthy versions of ourselves. He isn't afraid to call me out on my bad habits, and when I call him out on his, he changes accordingly. We love each other a tremendous amount and have a very loving, flirty relationship that has never died down in that aspect in all 5 years that we've spent together. He is respectful to everyone and is always the first to help out strangers in need. He is a shining example of a good Samaritan in society. There are, of course, imperfections. We've always clashed with our political views and have resorted to never talking about politics with one another. He doesn't like that we can't have deeper conversations and feels that I just don't know any better. I feel like engaging with political conversations with him always devolves into me having to fetch him research papers and scientific sources to back up my views only for him to question their validity. We've struggled to have healthy, productive conversations once emotions start coming into play. I'm always crying from frustration. I feel like I'm not being heard. He imparts meaning onto my words when I'm oftentimes trying to say something quite simple. He, on the other hand, feels that I'm overly emotional and defensive, and that I argue for the sake of arguing. And he always feels like he has to apologize to get me to stop. We always wrap it up with apologies and manage to continue on with life each time, despite some issues feeling unresolved/not properly addressed. There is a power imbalance. He is older. We met when I was 20, he was 27, makes all of the money, and has often had to teach me how to be an adult. I find myself questioning whether I am right to feel a certain way, or if I just don't know any better/will never be satisfied. He makes a lot of jokes about things that are casually racist, sist, etc. Only I and his closest friends who have a similar sense of humor hear these jokes. I've told him repeatedly that it's not acceptable, and he's always said that it was fine because no one but me hears that they're just jokes, and he is respectful to everyone anyway. He jokes that if I were to cut my hair, I'd come home to changed locks. I know he genuinely means it as a joke, but I also know that he's serious about his strong preference for me to keep my hair a certain length. He doesn't believe that men and women can ever truly be friends. He himself doesn't have female friends aside from his friends' wives/girlfriends. He doesn't like it when I hang out with my male friends, but never stops me from doing so. Over time, I've lost a lot of good friendships. The majority of my friend circle were men, and we've never had romantic history with one another. Throughout our relationship, I've always been aware of these imperfections, but I thought that the growth and problem-solving that we've demonstrated was proof enough that we could grow together in time. So I decided to go through with a marriage. However, I've grown resentment for him having so much say in my life. Part of it is my fault for being conflict avoidant. I'm constantly suppressing my opinions for the sake of keeping peace in our household. Another part is due to him not picking up on how serious I was whenever I ask him to please stop with certain behaviors. I've slowly come to the realization that I do not enjoy being a housewife, and though I get to spend my days putting time into my hobbies, I really miss being around people and working for my own money, as well as spending my money freely without guilt. I'm allowed to spend my husband's money as I wish, but I've never felt comfortable doing so due to my upbringing, but also due to his opinion on various purchases I've made throughout our relationship. Where we're at now, I've brought up all of my grievances with him and our relationship, as well as the possibility of divorce. He was surprisingly agreeable and promised to work on the things that he could. He also owned up to the fact that he's been unintentionally controlling by way of emotional manipulation, passive-aggressive behavior when I go against his opinions, leading to us fighting about me losing sight of my priorities/our agreement, and the fact that he hasn't been the easiest person to communicate with. To be honest, it completely broke my heart. I didn't anticipate that he'd be so eager to put in work towards changing. It gave me hope for our future, but I also couldn't shake the desire to just start over on my own regardless. We will be going to couples therapy, but only if I'm wanting to stay and work on the marriage with him. If not, he'll let me go and we will divorce amicably. I have insisted that I do not want any of his assets/spousal support, so I would have to start over with a not-so-impressive resume and move back in with my parents. I am fully willing to do so. The ball is in my court, and I can decide if I want to fight for our marriage or move on. If I'm being completely honest, I still want to divorce him despite the hopeful turn that things have taken. The only problem is that I can't tell if my heart wanting to go is me foolishly thinking that the grass is greener, or if I truly would be happier on my own. I have no interest in dating for a long time. I've never properly spent time single ever since high school. On the other hand, I do feel like this marriage isn't all that awful, and I may just be impossible to please. I feel like I owe it to him to put in more work before throwing in the towel.